Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Hey there.
So today we're tackling something a little different. Not the usual historical document or scientific study.
Right, we've got excerpts from a novel, Colleen Hoover's It Ends With Us, specifically key passages.
Exactly. Passages that really introduce you to the main players, set up some crucial turning points, and lay out these really complex relationships.
And that's our focus today. These aren't just random scenes, they're snapshots, building this narrative about how our past shapes us, the tough choices we face.
And navigating relationships that are tangled up with that history.
Yeah, so our mission really is to unpack these pieces you've shared, look at the character dynamics, the emotions just under the surface in this text.
Consider us your guides. Just for this specific set of material, we'll help connect the dots and maybe understand the weight behind these moments.
We're going to trace this journey, starting with, well, a chance meeting on a rooftop in Boston.
Then we jump back in time, right, through these old diaries.
The Ellen diaries. Revealing this really deep past connection.
And then forward again into adult relationships, dealing with the consequences, the decisions that echo down the line.
It's all about how that personal history, sometimes stuff we don't even fully recognize in ourselves, kind of bubbles up and affects the choices we make.
Okay, let's dive in. Where should we start? That rooftop.
Let's do it. Part 1. That chance encounter.
Okay, setting the scene. We've got Lily Bloom. She's just come from her father's funeral in Maine.
A funeral where she gave, in her words, an epically disastrous eulogy.
Oh, yeah. So she's escaped to Boston where she's just moved. She needs a breather.
And she finds this rooftop late at night. She's clearly looking for solitude, peace. She's emotional, nervous. Just wants a quiet moment to process everything, you know?
Needs that fresh air.
Yeah.
But, she's not alone.
Right. Almost immediately, she spots someone else, a figure leaning over the ledge.
And her first thought is, okay, safety, man or woman.
Which is telling in itself, right? That
Yes.
immediate assessment.
Totally. She thinks if it's a man, she's actually too comfortable right now to be on a rooftop alone with a strange man. She doesn't want to have to leave this spot she just found.
But yeah, she confirms it's a guy. And the description is pretty vivid.
Tall, broad shoulders.
Yep. Holding his head in his hands. Taking these deep, forced breaths.
So not just enjoying the view.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
The text says he looks like he's on the verge of a breakdown.
And then, bang, he kicks a chair.
Yes, spins around, kicks his patio chair. Just this raw burst of something. Frustration, pain.
Breaks the quiet for sure.
And Lily notices he's got a joint. Her reaction is kind of measured, though.
Right. She thinks, okay, she's 23. She's seen this before, done it herself, maybe. No judgment.
But she's also aware, like, hey, maybe he thinks he's alone, but he's not.
And then he sees her. He turns back. Their eyes meet.
In his expression. Completely unreadable.
The male version of the Mona Lisa. That's quite a description.
Isn't it? No surprise, nothing. Just this intense, slow look. It's a real contrast to him kicking the chair just moments before.
Suggests some kind of control, maybe? Or masking things?
Could be. Or maybe just shock. Anyway, it creates this immediate mystery around him.
So the first words exchanged are pretty simple. She asks about the chair he kicked.
He offers her the joint. She says no.
But even then, her internal reaction is strong. His voice is a drug in itself.
Whoa. Instant attraction.
Yeah.
Like powerful.
Yeah. And this is where they introduce this idea of naked truths.
Right. He asks her why she needed fresh air.
And she doesn't say, I just buried my father after a terrible eulogy. But the truth is there, unspoken.
Exactly. And then he shares his naked truth about his ambition.
He wants to be the best neurosurgeon, totally focused, no time for marriage, kids, because he thinks he's too selfish.
He even admits it sounds arrogant.
Which Lily agrees with. She says, you're right, it does make you sound arrogant.
But then
she says she respects his honesty, that he can just put it out there, even if it's not, flattering.
And that honesty, that shared vulnerability, seems to create this instant connection. It's unconventional, but it's there.
Pretty quickly, they start sharing actual details.
Yeah, Lily tells him she's 23, just moved from Maine, has her master's, even her middle name, Blossom, and how much she hates it. God damn, she writes later.
And then, just like that, she tells him, my father died this week.
Wow. That's heavy for a first conversation with a stranger.
Right. His reaction is like disbelief, then intrigue. He asks if they were close.
Which the text says is hard for her to answer honestly right then.
And he shares stuff too. He's here for residency, neurosurgeon, almost done.
Mentions his sister lives downstairs, owns the floor. and doubles down on wanting to be the best in my field. Anything less is failure.
He even says his mom's disappointed he only works, which Lily thinks is nuts given his job.
Yeah, hints at some pressure there, maybe internal, maybe external.
They talk about lighter things too, though. That house Lily saw on Google Earth, like literally built on a rooftop.
Oh yeah, she's interested in it, talks about gardens. Ryle's like, too much work maybe.
But he's encouraging when she mentions her floral shop idea, Lily Blooms. He thinks owning a business isn't a step down unless it flops.
Gets a little laugh out of her there.
But then the conversation just veers back into really heavy territory.
Ryle shares something from his day at the hospital.
It's awful. A 5-year-old boy died, gun accident, caused by his younger brother.
His voice, the text says, is despondent when he tells her. Just gutted.
And Lily's reaction is immediate. Jesus Christ, I wasn't prepared for something so heavy.
Her first thought is for the other brother. That poor boy's brother. That empathy.
Ryle talks about how being around death all the time, it just becomes a part of life.
Yeah, and he's not sure how he feels about that. Like, is he losing something? Is it just necessary for the job?
He then flips it back, asks her for her twisted truth from her day.
Which is when she finally talks about the eulogy.
Okay, so this whole first meeting, it's incredibly intense.
It's super intense. The speed they go from strangers to sharing drama. These naked truths.
It creates this really powerful, maybe kind of unstable bond right off the bat.
Exactly. See Ryle, the successful surgeon, but also someone clearly distressed, capable of intense emotion, good and bad.
Attraction, grief, anger.
It makes you wonder, after sharing so much so fast, what else is hiding under the surface for both of them?
It's a magnetic start, but maybe bypasses the slow burn of really knowing someone, sets a complex stage.
Definitely.
Okay, let's completely change gears now. That rooftop is Lily's present, but to really get her, we need to go back.
To the Ellen diaries.
Right, she finds these old journals, these boxes.
And the idea is, starting back in 2003, teenage Lily wrote entries to Ellen DeGeneres, like a diary, but addressed to her. Never sent them, though.
Just found comfort writing to someone she looked up to, and when she finds them again years later, she feels, what was it? Both hoping was inside, sort of hoping wasn't.
Yeah, suggests some complicated memories tied up in there.
And what's inside is basically the story of Atlas Corrigan.
Her first love, maybe. From back in Maine. It starts when she sees him at this abandoned house behind her parents' place.
And realizes he's homeless.
And Lily's response is pretty amazing for a teenager. She starts making sandwiches, grabbing drinks and chips.
And just leaves the bag on the porch of the abandoned house. Quietly. Discreetly.
Yeah. She sees him watching her from inside. Later, the bag's gone. No direct contact needed, just help.
They eventually connect more directly on the bus. She gets a good look at him then.
The description's memorable, dark brown hair and those eyes. Real blue eyes like the kind you see on a Siberian husky.
Striking, and even though he's quiet, she asks him why he doesn't live at home.
Which opens the door.
Yeah.
She starts giving him more direct help, sneaking him into her house.
Which must have been risky considering her own home situation hinted at later.
Definitely. Letting him shower, washing his clothes, giving him some of her dad's old stuff, packing him food.
He keeps apologizing, right? Feeling like a burden.
But Lily writes that having him around actually helped her. It kept my mind off things. She looked forward to seeing him.
And eventually he tells her why he's homeless.
Yeah, his mom remarried, stepfather hated him, kicked him out at 18. Just awful.
He talks about wandering, living rough, planning to join the Marines, how hard it is to get help or a job with no address.
And reading these entries years later, Lily reflects on how knowing Atlas completely changed how she saw homelessness.
She admits she used to have those stereotypes, lazy addicts.
But Atlas showed her not everyone is homeless because they choose to be. They're homeless because there isn't enough help to go around. It's a huge shift in perspective for her.
Makes her critical of people like her dad, who she felt used excuses to be selfish. And she vows in the diary to be like Ellen, to actually help.
Their time together, described in the diaries, has these really touching moments.
Like watching Ellen together. Becoming regular Ellen watching partners, just laughing together. Simple, but connecting.
And the plant analogy. Lily talks about plants needing love to grow.
And Atlas connects it to people. Needing the right kind of love from parents to thrive, or else they wither. It shows the shared understanding of neglect or difficult family stuff.
There's even a detail about him making cookies in her kitchen. Just this little slice of normalcy in his really hard life.
But the big one is the gift he gives her.
The wooden heart,
Yeah.
carved from the oak tree in her yard. Small, uneven, hollow in the middle.
Seems symbolic, that hollow part.
Maybe. Lily writes about it, saying, I never thought I could love something so much, but then immediately questions if it's the heart or him.
The feelings are all tangled up.
The diaries also mention physical intimacy, making out every day, doing other things, so it went beyond just friendship and support.
But then there's that later entry, the really, really heavy one.
Atlas's confession. About that first night in the abandoned house.
He wasn't just seeking shelter.
No. He went there to end his life. He tells her he had a razor blade. Felt totally numb.
Until he saw her light turn on, watching her gave him a little bit of feeling.
His words to her are just shattering. You saved my life, Lily, and you weren't even trying.
Wow. That reframes everything, doesn't it? Their whole connection.
Absolutely. It goes from kindness and support to literally life-saving mutual impact. He even kisses her collarbone later, where his brother used to kiss him, linking her to that lost part of his life.
But despite all this depth, they do separate.
Atlas decides to leave for Boston with his uncle. The goodbye is painful.
He says they weren't breaking up because they weren't ever really together, which is kind of heartbreaking in itself.
It is, and Lily reflects maybe he was just supposed to be a part of her life, not the whole thing.
But she makes him promise, right? If he doesn't come back for her, she'll find him in Boston.
Yeah, that promise hangs there.
So this whole dive into the diaries, it paints such a different picture than the rooftop meeting.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Atlas represents safety, gentleness, deep understanding rooted in shared hardship. It's foundational for Lily.
Shaped her views on empathy, gave her a different model of connection than maybe she saw at home.
It's about resilience, finding family, how small kindnesses can literally save a life. And it definitely sets up a contrast with Ryle.
That past connection with Atlas is clearly going to be a major factor in her present.
No doubt about it.
Which brings us back to Boston. Lily's trying to build her future, pursue her dream.
Right, the floral shop. Lily blooms. She's got the business background, the passion. She's excited, telling Alyssa the plan is so twisted, it's brilliant.
And then, wouldn't you know it, an accident brings Ryle crashing back in, literally.
She sprains her ankle moving stuff in the shop space.
And who shows up with Alyssa and Marshall?
Ryle Kincaid, neurosurgeon to the rescue.
He checks her ankle, professional mode activated. Don't think so about it being broken.
Highlights that doctor identity again.
But then he finds out about the shop. Lily blooms. And he seems genuinely proud.
Yeah, no way. You did it. Like, really impressed she went for it.
Lily's reasoning is practical. Do it while she's young enough to recover if it fails.
And from that meeting, things with Ryle really take off.
Fast. The snippets show it. His kiss is still a drug. We see him in scrubs with his expensive haircut, grounding him in his high-powered life.
And Lily's still intensely attracted, almost fighting it, thinking about the neurosurgeon literally on his knees begging for sex, finding it hard to breathe when she looks at him.
There's that push-pull again. Attraction, but maybe a sense of something else. Unease.
Possibly. We also meet Ryle's sister, Alyssa, properly. She ends up working with Lily.
And Alyssa's view of Ryle is interesting. At first, maybe hopeful about him and Lily.
But later, seeing how serious Ryle is getting, she has this solemn look and says, yeah, I'm afraid he does. Like, maybe she knows something, sees a pattern, feels some concern about her brother's intensity.
Their first proper date is dinner with Lily's mom there. Awkward.
Lily struggles to define the relationship, but her mom observes Ryle seems comfortably with Lily, like it looks easy on the surface.
The physical side escalates too, making out after dinner. Ryle setting that blunt boundary about not staying over because of surgery. Not inside you.
Lily feels mixed about that disappointment, but also relief at the boundary.
And she has this thought, feeling like Ryle is mine, but immediately pulls back. Maybe. This is a trial run. I have to remember that.
That's key. She's aware things are fast, trying to keep perspective, maybe.
Yeah, like the detail about him only calling her after 3 months of texting shows how fast the physical moved compared to maybe other forms of connection.
So the picture of the Ryle relationship is intense, physical, rapid. Very different from the slow, supportive build with Atlas.
And you mentioned potential red flags earlier based just on the text.
Yeah, moments like the don't move during intimacy. The intensity can just be passion, but read another way. Hints of control, aggression, things that might surface later.
And sadly, they do surface, which leads us to a really difficult part of the story.
Yeah, The first time Ryle is violent towards Lily.
What triggers it? Finding stuff related to Atlas.
Exactly. He finds old letters, clippings, the diaries in her closet, sees a magnet Atlas gave her, notices her tattoo, and connects it, maybe wrongly, to Atlas, saying, "It used to be my favorite goddamn part of you," like he feels betrayed,
Finds Atlas's number, calls it, gets voicemail.
and snaps. He's lucky I got his fucking voicemail, then throws her phone hard across the room, shatters against the wall.
And then the push.
Yeah. The text describes him pushing her, her reaction shaking, a cut on her face. His hand is injured too, maybe from hitting something or the push itself.
But right after, his anger just vanishes.
Twitches instantly. He's all concerned. "Fuck the hand, Lily. I don't care about my hand. Are you okay?" Checking her face.
But she's in shock, crying these huge, hurt-filled tears, just says no.
And then comes the internal turmoil for Lily. That's crucial.
The realization hits her harder than the push itself.
Yes. The realization of what has just happened hurts worse than the actual action, and her mind immediately starts trying to excuse it.
It was an accident. He thought I was cheating, minimizing, justifying.
Maybe drawing on what she saw growing up. She feels more pain for Ryle, thinking about his past trauma hinted at earlier, than for herself. Feels pathetic and weak for her own reaction.
She really struggles with comparing this to her parents. Tries so hard to believe Ryle isn't like her father.
Humans aren't perfect. I can't let the only example weigh in on my own marriage. She wants to believe he's trying, that their love is stronger.
The conversation after, it follows that pattern, doesn't it?
Textbook, almost. She acknowledges his apology, calls it terrible, says we can't take it back.
Tries to set a boundary. If anything like that ever happens again, I'll know. It wasn't just an accident, and I'll leave you.
And Ryle makes the promise. "It won't happen again, Lily, I swear. I'm not like him." Violence, remorse, apology, promise. It's the cycle.
Makes it so hard to leave.
Incredibly hard. Later they go out to eat. Lily sees Atlas there, tries to avoid him.
Alyssa sees the cut on Lily's face. "Oh my God, I didn't think it was that bad," suggests Ryle lied to her earlier.
Seems likely. Because Ryle then tells this elaborate lie right in front of Alyssa about olive oil slipping. So graceful you'd think she was a ballerina.
Wow, covering it up, presenting a false front.
Exactly. But the most devastating part is when Lily talks to Atlas alone later.
He sees the injury, and she tells him the truth.
The raw truth. "I'm more scared of you right now than I've ever been of him," her father.
That says everything about how terrified she is of Ryle in that moment.
It really does. And Atlas's response is just quiet sadness. "This is not something I want to be right about. I prayed every day that I was wrong about him."
Confirming his earlier fears about Ryle. And Lily knows, internally, he was right.
This whole section is just gut-wrenching. The romance shatters. You see the abuse cycle laid bare.
Lily's internal battle is so painful, loving him but being hurt by him, trying to untangle it from her past.
And that confession to Atlas is a huge moment of acknowledging the reality, even if she can't act yet. It shows how deep these patterns run, especially when they echo childhood trauma and involve complex feelings. Ryle's own past trauma complicates it, but doesn't excuse it.
So moving forward from that point, those echoes from her past get louder, especially with another major life event.
A pregnancy, yeah, that changes everything. Immediately raises the stakes.
Her first thought is just failure. I've already failed this baby in life. Fear of bringing a child into this situation.
Which leads her to talk to her mother. And this conversation is pivotal.
Her mom seems happy, seeing someone new, shows moving on is possible.
Lily struggles to explain things with Ryle. "Hurt me on more than one occasion, scared of being alone, making the wrong choice, being too weak, too sensitive."
And her mom doesn't just sympathize. She shares wisdom from her own experience. Hard truths.
Yeah, really powerful lines. "Every incident chips away at your limit. Every time you choose to stay, it makes the next time that much harder to leave." Explaining that insidious erosion of will.
And then the plea, based on her own regrets.
"Don't be like me, Lily. He's not loving you the right way."
In this part, if Ryle truly loves you, he wouldn't allow you to take him back. He would make the decision to leave you himself. That reframes love completely in this context.
It really does. Suggesting true love would mean protecting her, even from himself.
Her mom also mentions being proud of Lily for that eulogy, for not pretending her father was something he wasn't, for standing up for her.
Yeah, be that girl, Lily. Brave and bold. A direct call to courage, drawing on Lily's own past strength.
This talk feels like the turning point, planting the seed for her eventual decision. It validates her, gives her perspective, empowers her to think about breaking the cycle for the baby.
Absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Atlas comes back into the picture more directly.
Runs into him at his restaurant, bibs. She's instantly thrown, nervous. Chest is still constricted.
Alice asks about who she's with. So, who's the lucky guy? Lily fumbles, says, his name is Ryle.
And Atlas's smile doesn't touch his eyes. That subtle reaction speaks volumes. He knows, or suspects, or is just concerned. Echoes his earlier worry.
Later, after another incident with Ryle, the text implies it, Lily ends up at Atlas's saying, I'm not covering for him this time. Refusing an exam, she finds refuge with him again.
Plays cards with his friends, sees their easy dynamic.
Yeah.
Then there's that awkward moment about Cassie.
Right. Jimmy asks Atlas about Cassie. Atlas denies it flat out. There is no Cassie.
And Lily realizes he lied earlier. He was giving her space with Ryle.
Yeah. He didn't fight for me because he thought he was giving me what I wanted. It shows his selflessness, but also the complexity of him trying to respect her choices, even if it hurt him.
And despite everything, Atlas is just there for her. Takes her in, gets her settled, brings her juice, unconditional support.
Lily apologizes for being angry before, admits he was right about Ryle. His response is still sad. This is not something I wanted to be right about. He offers her a place to stay indefinitely.
A real contrast to Ryle's conditional affection.
Totally. But Atlas also sets a really important boundary.
When Ryle goes to England for 3 months.
Exactly. Ryle leaves keys for Lily. Atlas decides he'll go to England too, for the same time, to give her space.
He says, you need time, and I want to give that to you.
And clarifies the terms. If you ever need me, I want you to call me. But only if it's an emergency. I am not capable of being casual with you, Lily.
Acknowledging their history, the depth of feeling, he respects her need for space to decide without his presence complicating things.
This whole period is about those echoes her mom's past, Atlas's history. Her mother's advice is key, offering psychological insight. Atlas provides support, but also respects boundaries. And the pregnancy just heightens everything, pushing Lily towards his decision, drawing on all these past strengths and warnings.
Which brings us to the final stretch in these excerpts, motherhood, and the choices Lily ultimately makes.
So she's living apart from Ryle, in the new apartment, but in the guest room. Physical separation.
Alyssa and Marshall know she's pregnant. Ryle comes back from England.
The reunion is tense. Lily tells him, another naked truth.
His reaction is utter devastation. World comes crumbling down. He pleads, focuses on the baby. You have a part of me inside of you. Please don't take this away from me.
Lily acknowledges feeling a cruel satisfaction delivering the news, like her father, wanting him to hurt, a moment of uncomfortable self-awareness for her.
But Ryle is involved during the pregnancy somewhat, stays on the couch, talks to her belly.
There's that scene with the crib setup. He sees the nursery murals she painted, this beautiful garden. He's genuinely impressed. Wow, it's really great.
And the moment he sees her bare pregnant stomach for the first time, calls her beautiful. Thanks her for letting him share these moments, acknowledging her choice to include him.
Then, the birth. It happens fast. Ryle's there, holding her hand, his surgeon's hand, notably.
His reaction when the baby arrives, it's a girl. Overcome, Lily, we have a daughter. Pure emotion.
And the name they choose, Emerson, which significantly was Atlas's deceased brother's name. A name Lily asked Ryle about earlier. It creates this quiet link between past and future, between the two men in her life, centered on the child.
The story then jumps ahead. Emerson is 11 months old. Lily's walking with her.
A stranger notes the resemblance. Identical mouths. Then she runs into Ryle at her shop.
He's excited about Emerson, talks about a recalled playpen. Lily says she threw theirs out. Ryle says, your mommy saved your life, about the recall.
But the line has this huge, unintentional double meaning, given the choice Lily is about to make.
Because that encounter triggers something. She leaves the shop, feels that nagging in my gut.
And makes her decision. Runs through the street, calling Atlas's name. Actively seeking him.
It's described so purposefully. Him stopping, turning, them walking towards each other until they're one step apart.
And her breathless words aren't about Ryle, they're about their daughter. I forgot to tell you Emerson's. Connecting her future, her child, to Atlas.
The author's note really frames this ending, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It clarifies the intent. Written for women like her mother, for people who don't understand, Lily didn't need rescuing. She left on her own for her daughter.
Embodied the same empowerment her mother found, but made the choice sooner.
The author stresses that Lily left because some risks hoping Ryle would change are never worth taking, especially given the history. prioritizing Emerson's safety.
It's a courageous choice, not an easy one.
Definitely. So this final part ties it all together. Motherhood, the weight of the past, the difficulty of leaving, but the strength found in protecting the next generation. Lily breaks the cycle.
Not by being saved, but by saving herself and her daughter. And Emerson's name becomes the symbol of intertwined histories and hope.
Exactly.
So looking back at this deep dive through the source material, we followed Lily from that intense rooftop meeting, revisited her foundational past with Atlas through the diaries, navigated the turbulent relationship with Ryle, and saw how pregnancy and her mother's wisdom led her to break a devastating cycle.
We've really seen how childhood experiences, trauma, both Lily's and implied for Ryle, deeply affect adult lives and relationships. We explored the complexities of love, abuse, forgiveness, vulnerability.
And the sheer strength it takes to make choices for safety and well-being, especially for your children.
It definitely makes you think about personal history, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Your own, the people around you, how those past shape present connections and decisions, and the different ways strength shows up in Lily, her mother, even Atlas's quiet endurance, and Ryle's moments of acknowledging his issues, even if he couldn't overcome them in this narrative.
And it leaves us wrestling with that core question from the story, really. What does loving someone the right way actually mean?
Is it always about forgiveness, about hoping for change? Or sometimes is the ultimate act of love for yourself, for others, for the future drawing a line, prioritizing safety, breaking the pattern, even when it's incredibly painful?
A lot to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into these powerful passages from It Ends With Us.
We hope exploring the source material offered some valuable insights into these characters and their difficult, resonant journeys.